Hey now! What is up, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka Review King MB, and it's time once again for Smallville Rewind. This episode is actually one of my favorite episodes, I think, of season one because we get a lot of good character stuff in this episode. So it starts off with Clark and Pete. They are volunteering at this sort of old retirement home because apparently you need a certain number of hours of volunteer work, I guess, for high school. Thank God I didn't have to go through that. Can you imagine? Like, Pete's kind of complaining about it, and then they run into Lana, who just so happens to also be volunteering there. And I love the moment when Clark said, "Oh, Lana, I didn't realize that you were also volunteering at this place as well." And Pete goes, "Yeah, right." And even Clark like nudges him to like shut up. So I thought that was hilarious. So yes, Lana is there. Of course, of course. Clark is stalking her just in the same way that everybody else is. And then there's this old woman who is there. And everybody knows that this lady can see the future. That's kind of the rep that she has around this place. So Clark and Pete go there. The old lady's name is Cassandra. And she tells Pete that basically he forgot his car keys, so Pete leaves. And then she talks to Clark. And she has a moment where she touches Clark and sees his future. And she can kind of tell that, like, he's special, that he will be special. And I think that instantly draws Clark into her because what does Clark constantly do or think? He has questions. He has so many questions about his future, his destiny, and whatnot. And this lady may be able to provide him with some answers. We cut to Lana, who is helping this old guy, Harry. And so Lana takes this guy out in his wheelchair by the dock with this lake. And he asks her to go back inside and get him his scarf, mostly because he wants to smoke a cigarette, which I had to get the cigarettes. So Lana leaves, and then this guy, he drops his lighter, accidentally falls into the lake, which, so if this other thing didn't happen, this old guy would drown and die. And how much trouble would Lana get into if that happened? But so conveniently, kryptonite just so happens to be in this lake. There is so much goddamn kryptonite everywhere in Smallville. It's just contaminated. Everything is contaminated with kryptonite. I think I heard somebody ask the question of like, why aren't there more superpowered people? Yes, sure. Over the course of these 10 seasons, we will have a lot of superpowered, meteor-powered people from this show. But if you're talking more so of the prior 10 to 12 years, since Clark has come to this earth, since however long the media shower happened, you could make the argument that there should probably be a lot more souped up people. So that's funny. But so when this old guy falls into the lake, he gets affected by the kryptonite. And what do you know? He turns young. And that's where we meet Eric Christian Olsen, who is an actor that I've seen in quite a few things. And I have seen him in a lot of things. But it's funny that even still after all of these years, the first thing that I remember seeing him in, and so therefore the first thing that I think of when I think of this guy, is him in the Dumb and Dumber prequel, where he played the young version of Jim Carrey. I don't know why that's the first thing, because he was even in things before that, but that's just what I think of. And so I see him and, all right, cool. So he's now young. And the old lady also warns Clark that somebody in his life will die. You're all going to die tonight. Well, no, she doesn't say that, but she definitely makes Clark paranoid. So Clark, the very next scene is Clark going to his mother and father, Jonathan and Martha. They're working some farm equipment, and he freaks out like, hey, you guys could get hurt interacting with that. Like, you never know, malfunction. So he's just very, very paranoid. It's almost as if he saw Final Destination like I did when I was a kid, and I was freaked out to touch anything at all. I thought it would just kill me somehow, some way. And then you see Lana, Chloe, and Clark. They go to this coffee shop, this coffee diner place that I swear we will see so many times in season one, and then we will never see this place ever again. I love how Smallville would do that, where if you have one location for one place, we're going to reuse that location over and over again. God damn it. Especially because Lana got fired from this place, so you would think she'd be embarrassed to go back here, but hey, they're just hanging out. They're talking about how she lost the old guy, so they think that the old guy just vanished. They don't know what happened to him, right? He's missing. And coincidentally, Harry, young Harry, he's also in there. He's eating a burger that he hasn't eaten in forever, he says, and he asks for coffee, so they come up behind him. He overhears them talking about him, basically. So, of course, he interacts with them. And the whole time I was wondering, how is Harry paying for this food? You could easily say that, oh, well, he just walked in there, asked for the food, and then he'll bounce, right? He'll dash. He'll just get out of there before he has to pay. But the problem with that is that he goes back to this diner more than once. So if he hadn't paid, then he probably wouldn't have been allowed to come back. So I guess he did pay, or maybe there's a deleted scene where he steals money from somebody at the nursing home. Who knows? Fuck it. Maybe he had his own money. I don't know. I guess I'm overthinking that. But Harry says to the waitress, "Thanks, doll," or "Thanks, honey, you're a doll." And it's the same exact thing that old man Harry said to Lana, and Lana picked up on that. And so I instantly clocked that. Also, I wanted to mention that Lana, Chloe, and Clark are all hanging out together. The three of them. So we've already advanced Lana and Chloe from where Chloe did not like Lana at all to then they had that brief interaction. And now they're hanging out. So this is cool. I like how it's not this big major deal. It's just something that's just kind of there. And over time, of course, the two of them will become more and more friends. We get a scene where Clark is delivering vegetables to Lex. And I like this dynamic. The fact that the Kents deliver vegetables and produce and food to Lex. I just find that interesting. I'm not sure if this is something else that maintains and still becomes a thing in further seasons. I want to say this aspect of their relationship disappears, but it's an excuse for Clark to show some concern because it shows that, hey, this lady said that somebody close to you will die. And I like that Clark mentions it to Lex because it shows that Clark does at least care for Lex in some sense. He might not be the most important person to him, but at least it's something that Clark ran by him to sort of make sure Lex was okay. Lex now is asking questions about this old lady that Clark mentions, and what do you know? Lex ends up going to meet with this old lady, and I found it interesting that Lex's main reason for going to her was to ask questions about Clark. He even offers her money, which thankfully she's not interested in. So, like, can you imagine, though, if this old lady had taken Lex's money and said, yeah, this guy is not human, or he's an alien, or he's a superhero, or whatever she could have said to him, that would have blown everything up. But the lady does not tell Lex, and that kind of pisses Lex off. He's not even interested in finding out his own future, because I guess who gives a shit. Clark runs into Lana at the Torch, and they're supposed to meet up with Chloe, even though Chloe never arrives. It's just really a scene for Clark and Lana to talk. And Lana's looking at the wall of weird, which I like that this is her first time seeing it. She sees the picture of her as a little girl there, and they sort of go back and forth on like how much things have been affected by the meteor shower. Lana, of course, is talking about her parents, and Clark feels very guilty about that. He even, like, we knew he felt guilty, but there's a moment where he says to Lana that, like, basically if he could go back in time and take all of this pain from her, stop her parents from dying that day, he would. He said it in a less obvious way, but that's how Clark meant it. So Clark really burdens himself with the death of Lana's parents. Now, this old lady, we find out that she lost her vision from the meteor shower. So it actually makes sense. Because at first it's like, oh, wow, okay, so there's this lady who's blind, who she met Murdoch, because she is also very perceptive. She's able to, like, tell when people are there, who they are without seeing them. But it's more connected to the meteor shower. And I like that. I like that she just wasn't some old fortune teller, right? She wasn't just this old, like, no, she probably got these abilities from the meteor shower. I like that. I also like that Clark went back to see her. And this time we see the vision of Clark, and he's surrounded by a bunch of gravestones. And you see his father's name, his mother's names, Pete's name, Lana's name, Chloe's name. Everyone around him dies. He is destined to outlive everyone around him. And I've always been fascinated by that aspect. I don't know how many comic books, I'm sure there are some, but I don't know how many comic books emphasize the fact that Clark Kent Superman outlives everyone, or he ages very slowly. Some books have him just age naturally. He just ages along like anyone else. Him and Lois grow old together, whatever the case is. But the idea that he outlives everybody, like, that's major. And I also find it funny, this is the first time I had this thought of, like, you see all of these gravestones around him. No mention of Lois Lane. It would have been a very cool, awesome Easter egg if one of the gravestones said Lois Lane. Like, I know it's out there to maybe tease that in the first season, but we know it's his future. We know that he will marry a Lois Lane, and so that would have been a super awesome tease, but of course, they did not do it. I love that Chloe figures out that this guy that they met at the diner is Harry. Somehow Harry's young again. Like, don't ask me if it makes sense that Chloe figures that out. But hey, we're in Smallville. It's only been a handful of episodes, and we're already at the point where we can accept the fact that somehow this old guy has made himself young. It's one of those deals where if you think it's over the top that she figured that out, okay, fine, cool, I get it. But Chloe being the smart character that does figure that stuff out, I'll always appreciate that aspect of her character. Also, the old lady, Cassandra, I should stop calling her the old lady. Cassandra telling Clark that she has seen a lot of people's future, and every one of these futures, it's always that somebody is in pain or in need for help, and she sees him. It's not like she says, hey, and you are wearing this blue costume with a red cape. It's not that intricate or not that obvious or in your face. But I love when she said, I see you in all of these other people's visions, saving them or taking away their pain, basically, right? And so I love that. She's already seen visions, potentially, of him as Superman, saving people. I guess you could argue that maybe she's just saw him as regular Clark throughout the years of Smallville, so he doesn't even have to have been wearing the suit. But I interpreted it as her seeing him as Superman. We even see a bunch of images of a bunch of people who are in danger. Clark sees it, and so it's like, oh, we have to maybe try to save them and figure all that out. And then we see Harry back at the coffee shop. It's the same waitress we saw earlier. And at first it looks like maybe he's going to try to hook up with this chick. I mean, he was an old man for a while, but I'm sure he has some needs, right? No, that's not what he wants. He's not even thinking about that. Again, I'm surprised that's not the first thing he did. No, he is targeting this waitress because, come to find out, her grandmother was somebody, like I think they said she was on the jury of people who sentenced him to prison. So he's going back to kill family members, descendants of these jury members, because that's the only way he can get revenge on them. All of them are probably dead now. So this is creepy. This is like out there for such a quick episode to go through this. And it's basically a serial killer. Like, I like this Harry character. Yes, you could say it's goofy how the meteor made him young. Like, it's never quite consistent or obvious how the meteors give people their powers or how they affect people. It just sort of is convenient to the episode. But forget all that. The actual serial killer character that Harry is, I did find him fascinating, that he did have a vendetta. He did have his own revenge sort of schemed out. And so when he attacks the waitress, Clark shows up. And I liked the moment where Harry has the waitress and Clark is in the coffee shop. He goes outside and Clark just speeds out to be already outside to meet Harry. And Harry has this reaction of like, what the fuck? And then so he throws the waitress in front of this truck in the street. Clark has to speed in and shield the woman. I guess he could have like grabbed her out of the way. But still, the selflessness of Clark to like take the brunt, take all of the truck impact. Now, it went over them. It wasn't like he just got hit head on, because I don't know how the hell he would explain that. So it goes over them, only Clark's back. I like the effect of the back of his shirt being burned, like open. That was pretty cool, but obviously it didn't affect him. And then Clark chases after Harry. And Harry tries to stab Clark in the chest with a knife. This was fucking cool. And this is probably one of the, well, let's just say the second or third best moment of the episode. Because I like the moment where Cassandra tells Clark that she's seen him be a hero for other people. But the third best moment of the episode is when Harry is stabbing Clark in the chest. And it's like in slow motion, so you can really see what's going on. Of the effect of the knife completely shattering as it's touching Clark's chest. And the look of shock on Harry's face of like not knowing what the fuck is going on. Clark grabbing him and throwing him across to knock him out on top of the car. And then so there's a scene where the police are about to go talk to Harry. They still think he's a young guy, John Doe. They go into the room and he's back to being old man Harry. So they don't really know what happened there. I guess they don't know what happened to the other guy. Harry had to say that, oh yeah, he was kidnapped by this young guy and blah, blah, blah. So they take him back to the old people's house, the nursing home. And this was so silly that basically Harry just wheels himself back to the same spot, the dock, and jumps into the water to just turn back into a young guy. Like, I'm like, what? Like, it's so easy to just go back. He instantly turns himself back to being a young guy. Oh well, oh well. Now, Clark and Chloe figure out the jury, the name of the jury, and they figure out that Harry is targeting descendants of the people, whatever. One of the names on the jury is Jonathan Kent's father. So that's when Clark's like, oh shit, he's going to kill my father. So Harry goes to the Kent's house. And I love this scene for Martha. I guess this is moment number 4 that I loved in this episode, where Harry is trying to say, oh yeah, I'm the gas man. And your husband called because there's a gas leak. Just let me in. And Martha's like, oh yeah, sure, of course. Give me 1 second. Closes the door. Tries to call. Now, of course, I guess Harry's already cut the phone line or whatever. But I love that Martha wasn't just dumb enough to let this guy in. She asked the question of, where's our usual gas guy? She even smartly said the wrong name on purpose to test this guy. To test Harry. And Harry goes, oh yeah, he's on vacation. Ken or Kurt, he's on vacation. Don't worry about it. And Martha's like, okay, fuck this dude. Now, Harry's able to just get in through the door anyways. I guess he picked the lock. And he chases Martha. And Martha, like, puts herself in the corn mill, like, area. And then Harry comes in to try to kill her, attack her. But she smartly turns the lever so that all of the corn just starts coming in. And she tries to go out the door. If she had gone out the door and locked Harry in to just get suffocated I would have thought this was the most baller thing for Martha. But you had to have Harry grab her and actually, like, keep her in there because Clark has to save her. I get it. But I just thought Martha was great in all of this. And so Clark does save her. He gets there in time and he pulls her out of there. She's alive. Harry's dead. His young hand turns back to an old guy as he's completely engulfed in the corn. The episode ends in a very, I guess, somber way, where Lex goes back to visit Cassandra. of course, now he's too curious. Ooh, I forgot to mention. Ooh, I can't go on without this. Lex brings Clark to that dark room with the car, the destroyed car from the car accident. We still haven't seen the reporter yet that Lex is now blackmailing or whatever. And Lex shows Clark, like, hey, I still have this car. I have people looking into this. Lex even says, experts have told me that there's no way the actual crash would have ripped the roof off. And Clark has to go like, huh, well, I don't know, Lex. I mean, I guess they're just wrong. Like, to be honest, Clark is not that great of a convincing liar. You just read bullshit all over this. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, Lex. I don't know what to tell you. And Lex goes, do you remember anything about this? No, I just remember pulling you out. That's it. And Lex is like, well, I really wish you would have been able to tell me more. And Clark's like, sorry. Like, it's just like, I don't want to feel this way because I totally understand why Clark isn't quick to tell Lex, especially at this point. At this point, Clark wants to trust Lex. He wants to see good in him, but he still doesn't fully know Lex. He still doesn't 100% know how genuine Lex is. So I get that he's not telling him now, but I do feel bad when it cuts back to Lex and you see the look on his face where he does not look like he believes Clark at all. And it's like, well, what do you do? When you can tell somebody's lying right to your face, how much more can you poke and prod and sort of try to give them a chance to tell you the truth before you finally just go, all right, well, I guess lying is what you're going to choose to do. So you cut to this scene of Lex going to visit Cassandra again. I guess he's more just like, I don't know, I need to know something. Clark's not telling me any answers, so I need to know. So he touches her. Not like that. Well, she needs to touch people in order to see their future. And this is my number one favorite moment of the episode, where you get this vision of Lex in the White House. Love it. I love anytime a comic book, or especially the animated movies that I've seen of Lex becoming the president. It's fascinating. It's like, can you imagine a crazy, lying, maniacal piece of shit person being in the White House? I mean, what a fucking crazy idea. So Lex Luthor is wearing this white outfit, this white suit. He looks fucking great in the White House, like I said. He goes outside and he's surrounded by these flowers. He goes to touch the flowers and they die. And not only do the flowers die, but they turn into bones, like dead bodies. It's fucking gnarly. It's a insane look, image. And then, Lex is wearing a black glove, by the way, which is a great reference. And then also, it starts to rain blood. And I just think the image of Lex, white suit, raining blood, is one of the coolest fucking things this show has ever done. It's one of those images that has stuck with me. And I remember the first time I saw this, it blew my mind, and just thinking, holy fuck, what's the future of this Lex character? Other than what we already know about him. And I also want to note the smirk on Lex's face when he is surrounded by the dead bodies, of almost like he enjoyed probably having to walk over, step over, kill whoever he had to get to this position that he's in. So that was great. You come out of the vision and Lex can't see the vision the same way Clark did, right? So Lex is like, so what did you see? And Cassandra's dead. Her dead eyes are just staring at Lex. I guess this vision killed her. This vision was so horrifying, so screwed up, that it straight up killed this old woman. And boy, what a way to go out. She wasn't even able to warn Clark. She wasn't, you know what I mean? Because Lex kind of freaks out. At least Lex yells out for a nurse, right? He didn't just leave like a creep or like a villain. He did tell a nurse. Nurse came in. Clark shows up. Well, after Lex already left, so they don't interact or talk about it. And Clark says that, oh, her vision of somebody dying was about her. And so I guess that's true, because I was trying to think of, is that the point of her vision? Was it? But I guess if nobody else died, if she died, then yeah, I guess that was the point of all of it. So I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was great. I know Cassandra seems like a device in order to just tease future stuff with Lex and Clark, but I thought it worked. The images, the themes of those characters going forward very much has me interested in all of it. And I even liked the serial killer. I thought all of that was cool as well. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below, what did you think of Hourglass? Did you like it as well? Like, comment, subscribe. Later!